What's up, world? All the Smokers partner with DraftKings for the in-season tournament. Right now, you have a chance to shoot your shot with DraftKings brackets. With multiple entry fee levels, there's a bracket for everyone. Pick the outcome of every game in the knockout stage, and you'll receive points based on your picks. Don't miss your chance to compete. Download the DraftKings app today and sign up using my promo code SMOKE. The crown is yours.
Welcome back, All the Smoke. Man, coming to you from Dallas. Set the tone with the boss man, Mr. Mark Cuban. And now we got one of the greatest to ever do it, Jack.
Yeah, he shot a lot of jumpers in both our faces.
Both of them.
Yeah.
We got one time, we got him though. We're going to talk about that a little later.
We won't.
But man, this is long overdue. I mean, your accolades, 21 years, over 30,000 points, ranked 6th all-time, 14 All-Stars, 07 MVP, Finals MVP in 11. Newest member to the Hall of Fame. Congratulations for that. That's a great class. We'll get to that in a little bit. Anything funny happen in that during that Hall of Fame weekend?
I mean, it was just unbelievable experience. Honestly, my family came. I had like 150 people from all over the world flying in, some ex-teammates. So nothing really funny. You know, me and D Wade had a little history. Yeah. So we bonded a little bit that weekend. We filmed the podcast for his new thing, and so we actually got into some of the stuff that happened in 06 and 11 and the fake coffin they were doing, and so that was probably the moment I would say I didn't expect that at all. Everything else was amazing, and just enjoyed every moment.
Well, you definitely deserved it, man. Hell of a career, hell of a run.
I appreciate it.
Germany recently took gold in the FIBA World Cup. If someone told you back in the 90s that this would be going on, would you ever would have believed it?
No chance. Incredible. I mean, basketball has grown not only obviously in Germany, but all over the world. You know, we have players, international players from all over the world representing, you know, MVP type caliber players, franchise players. So it's been fun to watch where the game has gone. When I first got there in the 90s, you know, you had a few Euros running around, but now every team has a couple, and it's been a pleasure to watch. And you know, Germany now is just Winner Schroeder leading the team, and but they were super solid. They had some shooters, they had some defenders. So I think they looked incredible.
Got it done.
Yeah. They're building organizations around European players now, so that's a testament to how they are developing now.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. Well, I mean, to speak of it, I mean, the last 5 MVPs have all been international player, the Giannis, Jokic, and obviously Embiid. Before that, there were only 3, yourself, Steve, and Hakeem. What do you think has really kind of opened up the floodgates to make this NBA more of a global game?
Well, the game has grown. I think that's one thing, but make the game more accessible outside the U.S. And then, you know, the coaching's gotten better, and I guess, you know, the NBA has changed, and I think it's when I first got in the league, it was still physical, and you know, the 4s and 5s were all the rebounders, and then once the NBA changed the rules a little bit, you know, you guys were there. They put in the zone. They got rid of the hand check-in, made it a little softer, so to speak, and that's playing right in the Euros and the European game and the international game. We grew up playing outside, swing the ball, 5-on-5, pick and roll game. You know, when I first got here, all plays, I just got called up, and then it was ISO. It was just clear the side, you know. And some of that with the zone, and there's other things you can do now that sort of got away from that, and it forced teams to move the ball a little more, play a little more team game, and that played right in our hands. And so that's I guess what you've been seeing, that the game's growing, and the game is played similar to the way it is in Europe.
Yeah. Let's jump back to 1998 Hoop Summit, where you became on, you know, a lot of American people's first kind of real glimpse at you. We thought we put a hell of a team out there. One of our buddies, Ray Young, who works with us, isn't here today, but him, Eric Barkley, Al Harrington, Rashard Lewis, Quentin Richardson, Jerron Rush, one of the best players that never to make it, Stromile Swift, you busted all their ass. 33. Ray told us they tried to throw every player at you and nothing was working. What was working for you that day?
I don't know, man. A little bit of everything, That was really my first time arriving in the U.S. and it was during the Final Four at the time in San Antonio. I was so hyped to be there. It was an incredible experience. We got to train here in Dallas for a few days with the team, and then they flew us down to San Antonio for the Final Four. We got to watch the 2 semifinals game with UNC. Got to watch Vince Carter, and I was just so hyped. And then the game was the following morning, and I don't know, man. It was just one of those days. Had a good start. Got to the foul line a couple times that game, and just helped me settle my nerves and just kind of roll through there. And was able to show a little bit of my whole repertoire, which I guess was great. So that was a fun game. And really, honestly, it changed my life overnight.
That was the next question. How did it change your life?
Yeah, I mean, my back then there was no internet, there was none of that, and so I don't even think I had a cell phone back then. So my parents had to get an answering machine at night.
Oh, really?
College coaches would ring in off the hook. I mean, all night long, and they didn't understand back in the day the time change.
Right.
So, I mean, we had to get an answering machine because it was getting crazy. So I was getting recruited from like probably 40 colleges, and all of a sudden I was on the scene, and then people were saying, "Hey, after that game, you might be a lottery pick. I don't think you should be going to college." And so that
had that, not to cut you off, had that even crossed your mind prior to that?
No, not a chance. I was looking at colleges, and then I was even thinking about staying maybe in Europe. I visited like a Barcelona, like a great team in Italy, Milan. I thought maybe I'll go pro there a little bit, have a good competition. And then maybe if I make it, come on later. But like I said, that game changed everything.
Really cool. Pissed off the press a little bit because you kind of had to do what was right for you, by leaving, and then obviously you had to leave your club to even play in it. Correct? Can you speak to a little bit of kind of what it back home? Although it would change your life in a positive, it wasn't positive from everyone's outlook.
Yeah, so there was a tough period because we were in the playoffs for getting promoted. In Europe, you can get promoted and relegated. So we were in the second division at the time, and we wanted to go up in the first division, and we tried for years, ever since I started at the age of 15, and every year we're right there, and we didn't make it. And that year we had a good team, and we had a great foreigner. He was amazing. Back in the days, you only could play with one foreigner on the team.
Oh, okay.
They still had the rule. In the first division, you had 2. In the second division, you had 1, and he was amazing. And so we thought we'd have a great shot at it. And then this game came along, and my coach at the time, my personal coach, Holger, was like, "I think you got to go. We got to go, but we can't tell the team." And so I finished a playoff game that Sunday, and on Monday morning we drove to Frankfurt and flew out. And I didn't tell the team, but we didn't tell the management. And so, of course, that didn't go well. Some of the guys had big bonuses on the line. How it is in Europe when you actually get promoted, they get paid, and so. I heard there was some bad blood a little bit, but fast forward, I come back that weekend. I had a good game, and the team won the game that I was gone, so it ended up being amazing, and we ended up getting promoted that year, and I had a good game, so everything, knock on wood, worked out great, but I heard some of the guys were a little bit pissed off.
You can't never feel guilty about doing what's best for you.
I know, but in the middle of the playoffs, I guess that's a little tough.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Fuck, stupid.
It's gonna get that money.
Yeah,
Y'all stay out.
It worked out. It worked out well. So
growing up in American culture, movies, rap, basketball, how was that?
Well, I was a big '90s kid. I loved. Once I started playing basketball, I got more into the culture, and and the rap, and the listen to Wu-Tang Clan, and I mean, I had all that. I had all that. I had all that in my repertoire, and I don't know. I loved it. Wearing the Jordan shoes, and I just try to be a basketball guy, and it was fun. And then, but when I came over, a lot was different, and my language was just not quite there yet. My English, I was really shy my first year. Didn't really understand the guys in the locker room. It's a little different from the English I learned at school, as you guys
different.
know.
Yeah.
So
the slang.
The slang, and so I didn't really understand that much. So my first year, I was just kind of trying to learn and learn on the fly, pick up all the calls on the court, understand the guys off the court. So that was probably the hardest transition my year one, and it was a lockout year, 98, 99. So we had like 6 games in 8 days. So they threw a lot at me my first year. And looking back, it was a very important year, but going through it, it sucked.
Homesick at all during that journey?
Honestly, I didn't really have that much time. Honestly, there were so many games my first year, and literally after the day of the last game, I was out the next day. I couldn't wait to go home. But
need a break.
it was good for me to have Steve Nash on. We talked about him early. Finley was good for me. I had good 2 friends that were there for me, that helped me and took me out of the hotel room when I was homesick, and they were big for me, big supporters on and off the floor. And I'm not sure I would have gone this smooth without them. So I owe them a lot, and they're friends for life. We talk to them all the time. We see each other. We go on vacation together with the kids now. So that's a tight bond we formed a long time ago, and I'm glad those guys were here for me at the time.
Steve was my vet when I got drafted, so I know Steve Nash, my guy. Your name has been dropped 107 times in hip-hop songs. You have a favorite one? 107 times.
Someone really did some digging to get that 100, not 106.
107.
107.
You got a favorite that you can remember off the top of your head?
No, actually, I can't even remember one that my name was dropped. But I got to do some research on that one.
Yeah, 107 times.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, check that out.
Holder Geschwidner, man behind the scenes who helped you get recognized. Talk about him.
Yeah, so I met him when I was about 15, and just developed a good relationship. I mean, he played in the '72 Olympics for Germany, so he played the game himself and was playing a little bit still at the time. And I was on a youth team, and he saw me playing, and he came up to me after the game and was like, "Hey, who practiced with you and your skills?" And I'm like, "Really, nobody." I didn't know who he was. It was just some older gentleman that came up to me. So I'm like, nobody really. I'm still in high school, and I play tennis and I play basketball a little bit. So and he's like, you got what it takes. You got a good feel for the ball, but you need to improve on your skills, your shooting and dribbling and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, sounds good. So fast forward a couple months later, he actually showed up at my club, and he's like, I would love to work with you and help you out. And really, I had nothing to lose. All I was doing was playing a little bit on the club team. And so we started work about once or twice a week at the beginning because I was still in school, and I could really see a rapid improvement. He thought outside the box. He had different training methods, and didn't believe in weight training at all. It was all body weight training and handstands, and I mean, some of the stuff has been reported, but he was definitely a different guy. And then he came to my parents' house and said, "Hey, I think he's got a lot of talent. If he wants to really go for it, we can go for it. But I need him all in." And then that's when I quit tennis and went all in on basketball and started training, every day. And he was my mentor basically my entire career. And still friends, obviously to this day. He's almost 80 now, but
wow.
He's doing well. He's still back home in Germany, so. He helped me a lot in times where, especially the first couple of years where stuff wasn't going right. My jumper was gone for 2-3 days straight. I'd call him up. He'd be on the plane. He'd come over the next day. So he helped me through a ton, and I owe him a lot.
That's dope.
Is he responsible for those spinning shots and the weird warm-up shots?
For sure. He was responsible for all that. I mean, he taught me everything: how to shoot, how to move, how to dribble, how to play the game. And he always said, listen, you might be tall, but you're not the most athletic. You're not built strong. He's like, if you want to go to the NBA, you got to bring something new to the game. And that's why we kept working on the jump shot constantly, because he's like, you're not going to be as athletic as the guys at the 4s and 5 spot. You need to, if you want to get a little bit of recognition there or make it, you have to bring something else to the table. And so, like I said, that was his vision outside of the box, not training like everybody else. And so I was always training with face to the basket, shooting threes, trying to 1 or 2 dribbling up. And so that's how I started to learn how to play the game. And so later on, then I felt completely uncomfortable. We'll get to that series later, but I wasn't comfortable playing with the back to the basket at all, because all my basically ever since I learned it when I was 15, I always faced the basket. So that's what all the stuff that Holger taught me.
You already been a big part of the culture because of your game. Like we all, but when you married a sister, you know how much we fell in love with you, bro.
Sure.
This dude is crazy.
I'm just saying, like
Is that on the screen?
It actually was. It actually was. Look right there. Look right there. Dirk marrying the sister.
Oh, okay.
It actually is. Yeah, but for real talk though, everybody's a fan of Dirk, but the culture fell in love with you 10 times more when you married a sister.
Talk about family and,
Yeah.
and what that means to you. Obviously, you have 3 kids. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, it's been a crazy journey, off the floor. Made some mistakes as well.
We all have.
Well documented.
We all have.
And,
Well documented.
yeah, but I ended up being super lucky, and I met Jess at a charity event and a while ago, and then got married like right away. We're both ready for family, and shoot, we're married last year, was over 10 years already.
Oh, wow.
So
Nice.
3 kids now. They're 10, 8, and 6, and the oldest is a girl, 2 boys. They're just starting their journey in sports with tennis and soccer, and so it's been fun. It makes me super proud to just watch them, and so fatherhood and being married it's been a dream of mine. And I'm enjoying every minute of it. Now they're in a great age, and now I'm obviously done. I'm retired. I have time. I don't have a boss. I can go to everything I want, and so we can travel the world, which we've done. I'm from Germany. My wife is half Swedish, half Kenyan. So we go to Africa, we go to Sweden. So I want our kids to be global citizens and speak different languages and travel the world. Whatever later on they get thrown into, they can handle. And so it's been a fun journey off the court with them the last couple of years since retirement.
Love it. 98 draft, heavy. Bibby, Antoine Jameson, Vince Carter, Paul Pierce, to name a few. What was your draft process like? And did you have to do a bunch of workouts, a couple of workouts? How many workouts you do?
So I did actually none. I wasn't
Well, actually.
so at the time, no, I did one. Obviously some NBA teams saw me here, and then Donnie Nelson, who was assistant coach here for the Mavs, he was the assistant coach of the Hoop Heroes team that we talked about earlier. So he's obviously seen me up front and close for like a week, and then I did a workout for the Boston Celtics, I think for Rick Pitino somewhere, and he was in Italy on vacation, and so he saw me. I knew Dallas at the 6th pick. I knew Boston at the 10th pick at the time. And but the rest was kind of up in the air because I told everybody I wasn't quite sure if I was ready for it. I told him I might still pull out. I can still go to college. I don't have an agent. I can still stay in Europe. So I didn't even go to the draft. I think our draft at that year was in Toronto. I can't remember, or Vancouver. I think it was in Canada. And I didn't go to the draft because I thought there's no way somebody's actually taking me with that risk of me not showing up and waste a top 10 pick. And so I stayed in Germany. I trained all the way through, and got a call in the middle of the night. Or Holger, my guide, got a call from Donnie in the middle of the night. Said, "Hey, Dallas, we picked you," and we're like, oh, "What?" and sure enough, like literally a day or 2 days later, they flew in. Donnie flew in. Big Nelly, who you guys know, was the coach at the time, and Ross Perot Jr., who was the owner before Cubes. So they all came to my hometown of Würzburg and hang out for a couple of days and got to know my family. And they were like, listen, don't make a decision to say no before you haven't seen Dallas and met some of the fellas. So they flew me in a couple of days after the draft. I got to meet Steve and Mike and some of the other players. And they were like, listen, we're not a great team. We're a young team. We're still growing. And we're just there's no pressure on you, and then I was like, you know what, they think that I could do it, and so I decided, well, I'll come.
Wow.
So it was a big step for me. Of course, coming out of Germany, they haven't really played first division yet, and so that was a big jump from basically the second division in Germany to the NBA. I mean, it's quite a decision then. And then there was a lockout. 98, so I couldn't sign a contract. So that allowed me to stay in Germany almost 6 more months. Got to train, got to play first division for my home club because we had just gotten promoted. Those months were important for me, I think, where I played some some men and had a little better competition every day. And so, and then, somewhere in January, they called me and said, the season is saved. And I was like, oh, and I was secretly hoping that they'd catch the whole season. Right? I know, right? Secretly hoping I can have a whole year to train and get ready more and get a little more stronger. But sure enough, they called me and they saved the season. So then I came over end of January, and then it was like from February till May, it was like a 3 months crazy whirlwind season. So that was wild, but I'm glad I got through it.
First impression of Big Nelly, Don.
I mean, he was a mastermind. He was. Honestly, I was lucky. I was lucky to get to a team where he was. I think. Back when I got started in the late 90s, there were not a lot of coaches that wanted big guys to shoot and pick and pop, and sometimes even brought the ball up. And, if I would have ended up somewhere else in another system, or even with Rick Pitino, who had me from the full court press, I don't think that would have worked well for me, I think. So I was in a perfect system with Steve and Mike, who supported me. So I was really fortunate there. And all Nelly was kind of doing was his plays were super simple. I mean, you guys know it was a high pick and roll, it was fist up, it was a fist side, and then there was these elbow catches with some curls around, and the rest was let him play. So
that thought process is like the number one offense in the league for a lot of different teams when he ran it. Yeah, it was simple, but it got the job done. Yeah, you were in the golden era of power forwards. Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, Chris Webber, Rasheed Wallace, Vin Baker, Karl Malone, McDyess, Juwan Howard. I know we're forgetting some, but I mean, that's a hell of that was the strongest position in the league, probably outside of center at the time. And what was it like for you early on?
Oh man, it was tough. Every night I had to bring it. And the good thing was, my defense obviously was never great in my career, but at the beginning it was like really terrible. So what they were doing is if I would end up on one of these guys, they would just have me front. And so I had to work on my fronting. As soon as they crossed like the little free throw line, try to post me, I would just try to wrestle my way around them. And as soon as they lob, here comes Sean Bradley over in 7-6, and we'll kind of trap him. So that was one defensive strategy, and the other one was just let the fives guard their fours, and I would guard the fives, just because these guys were so good, and I was a mismatch to all these guys. So it's all Nelly coming up with defensive things that we can kind of get away with me being on the court and stretching the court on offense and getting away with it on the defensive end. But at the end of the day, we still try to outscore you. Steve runs show. Right. Finn posting up, doing his all-around game, and I'm running around shooting. And so those were some fun years, man. We had with Nick Van Exel, and he was tough. We had a good squad. Man. So, but yeah, the power forward was loaded, and it also, of course, made me better because I knew I had to bring my A game every night.
Your first season, you struggled a little bit. Second and third season, you started to find your stride. 40 wins, 53 wins. By year 3, you're at 22-10 and shooting 40% from the three-point line, which is unheard of because, again, people your size aren't really shooting threes at that time. What clicked for you? What changed?
Well, I was fortunate there my second year. They saw I was a little too slow for actually, I started being a small forward because they knew I couldn't guard any other power forwards. So I started small forward, and then that was tough to keep up, though. So they kind of saw, okay, he's not really a small forward in this league. So let's try to play him at power forward. And then we had a guy named Gary Trent. You guys probably remember him. Mm-hmm. He was an ox. So, and he played amazing for us my rookie year, and then he was clearly the starter going into my second year. And which was totally fine. I would have come just off the bench, and then in preseason, he tore his hamstring. And so basically there were not a lot of other power forwards on the roster. So, we kind of had to make it work. And that's when we came up with all these defensive schemes. But then all of a sudden, my year 2, I went from not starting in my first year to playing 30, 35 minutes a night. And
confidence rose.
Got to play through mistakes and learn from mistakes. And finally, my language starting to catch up. Now I had a full training camp under me. I finally got an apartment and a car. I was feeling settled. So I think all that played into year 2, where year 1 was just so quick. And I had a rental car my whole year 1. I didn't really have time to get settled even. So that all played in. Felt more comfortable off the floor. And then had a lot of playing time, got to learn and make some mistakes, and the fellas obviously helped me with everything. So that was a big jump from year 1 to year 2, and that year 2 kind of set me up to keep going and keep getting better, and that gave me a lot of confidence for sure.
Real quick, Jeff, before you go, I want to say, hopefully this was you and it wasn't someone else. Did you not know how to use the AC in your car? That was you, right? I heard a story about that. Tell us, because it's hot as shit out here this summertime.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, so my year 1, I just had a rental car because I was literally here. I knew I was here only for 3 months, and so I was coming my rental. The guys were always killing me when I drove up in my little mini car, and then. Yeah, it was going, the season was going longer. It was going into May, and it was already getting warm. And I'd come to the game, and I had a couple sweat drips on my forehead. And they're like, where are you coming from? You run in or something? And one day, I'm like, no, it's always hot. I've got to drive with and roll down my windows. It's so hot. And then somebody
That's the wrong thing to do in Texas.
Hell
yeah. But they actually showed me, so there's this button that's AC. And
Change your life.
I didn't have that in my first car in Germany. I didn't have an AC button. So I had no idea. I kept, putting the fan up, but it was blowing warm air. So I always came to the game sweaty, and then until I found the AC button, and that was a life changer.
Try this new phenomenon.
Right?
I think it's called yogging with a soft J.
Oh, damn. That's funny.
Yogging. Y'all got to see Ron Bergen. Dennis Rodman had a brief stint here. What was that like?
That was wild. I mean, I'm a big Chicago Bulls fan in the 90s there, obviously. So he was one of my heroes. And then, Cubes bought the team my second year, halfway through. And he's like, we need to make a splash here. We need to get on the map. This is a Cowboys town, and I want to bring the Mavericks back. I think I'm going to sign Dennis Rodman. And we're like, are you serious? But he ended up doing it, and it was quite an experience. So he every time. So as a team meeting, we usually meet with Nelly, obviously with 40 minutes before the game. So the first game, we have Dennis Rodman. We're all kind of like excited he's starting. So 40-minute rolls around. He gets up. Nelly's about to start the film. Rodman gets up and goes take a shower. We're like, okay. So he comes back. He didn't see the video. He doesn't know the coverages. So he just goes out and kind of does. Sometimes he squeezes. Sometimes he hedges a little bit. Sometimes he does nothing. So I was like, okay, maybe he just did it one time. Second game, 40 minutes on the clock, he gets up and showers. So he missed all the pregame meetings before the game and had no idea about the coverages that we're doing, and kind of did his own thing. And I was like, that was just his routine. At 40 minutes before the game, he was showering. And then after the game, he would just put his own gear on and would go lift hard for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Wouldn't be with the team. Would just be find his workout room, and he had his little workout coach, and then they were just lifting heavy for like an hour and a half after the game, and then he just put on a cowboy hat with these long feathers, didn't shower, and just walked right out the arena. And it was, and the media scrum would chasing him, and he's mumbling something. It was a comedy sideshow, and then it just wouldn't work. It wasn't working well. Those couple games he was here, and but it was definitely a splash. I mean, the arena was full, and he got kicked out of one game. He sat on the court for a while, and the refs didn't want to throw him out. I mean, there was a lot of stuff happened, which was a cool experience for me, I guess, as a young guy growing up. But it just, basketball-wise, it just unfortunately didn't work.
How did you get your signature move?
Well, I think I started shooting that later. In your 20s, you have the power. If something's crowded, you try to rip through and get the basket. You get fouled a lot. And just as I gotten older, I lost a step, and I didn't want to do all the grinding, get fouled. So I looked for a shot that I can do without a lot of effort. I'm tall. It was just one or two bumps and lean back. I knew nobody can get to the shot. So that's really how I started shooting it a little bit at the beginning. And, of course, I had the support from the coaches because, not a lot of guys wanted to shoot a one-leg fadeaway. But, they saw it go in a little bit, and I was practicing it a little bit. And so I started shooting it. And mostly that year, we actually had the championship run. And things were going really well there. And I made most of them. So I was like, okay, this is a good weapon for me going forward. Because, guys was really starting to crowd me because I lost a step or two. And then this was just a way for me to still stay efficient and still be a decent scorer even in old age.
He said decent. Cut it out there.
Right.
03. You hurt your knee in Game 4 against the Spurs.
I didn't mean that, but I'm glad you deserved.
No.
How tough is that? I mean, obviously it changed the series dramatically. Mentally, kind of your first injury in the NBA, big injury in the NBA.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was the year when we had Van Exel, and he was amazing for us.
Unbelievable.
We had a fun crew that year. I still think you guys would have beaten us. Honestly, I mean, you guys were so solid, and with Timmy and everybody. I mean, I still don't think even if I'm healthy, we win that series. But
at least go 7.
It would have been interesting. It would have been interesting. I think like we had such a good run, but they were such a juggernaut on defense that our offense never really clicked the way we wanted it because they were so smart and well coached, and Timmy in the middle and. So I'm not sure we would have beaten you guys, but that was brutal to sit there. And
Watch.
I think it was Manu like fell into my knee, and I just sprained my knee, and I wanted to play so bad the next game. And then I even went to the pregame workout, and I looked okay. And that's where actually Nelly and Cuban got into it a little bit, and they were never on the same page again. I think Cubes wanted me to play the way I worked out pregame, and Nelly was like, "Listen, he's 23."
Long career ahead of him.
I'm not going to play him.
That's what Cuban said.
And so they didn't see eye to eye actually ever since after that. So, but yeah, going back now, I think it was the right decision not to play because I was so young and even just standing there watching some of the game, I felt my knee was getting a little weak and a little sore, and so. I think it was the right decision not to play, but of course it was. I mean, it was tough.
We put him in the game playing Game 6 because they were saying he was going. No, they were saying he was going to play, and it was Game 6, so we just knew he was going to play. When he didn't put that uniform on.
And then we had Walt Williams after every three he gave a shake, and then we were up. Going to fourth, like 15 points, and there comes Steve Kerr. We didn't have him on the radar at all. And he came in, and we obviously trapped Timmy every time down, and then Steve hit like 4 or 5
4 in a row.
Hasn't played all year.
All game.
And
Tim was having a bad game too.
Yeah, I don't think he played that playoffs. The whole Steve. I'm not sure, but
he did.
He comes in, drains 4 threes, and completely changed the game. And
heartbreaking.
That was a tough one. And maybe I would have tried to play in 7, but. Hey, well, we'll never know. But like I said, you guys were.
I had 23 that game.
Yeah, easy 23.
You wasn't out there, so it was cool.
06, up 2-0 against Miami in the finals, and D Wade and Shaq and company come back on you guys and win 4 straight. What was that like mentally?
Well, it was, there were a couple of low points in my career. That was definitely one of them. We left here 2-0. Feeling good. The Dallas Morning News, the newspaper here, had the parade route already in the paper.
Wow.
So speaking of a jinx,
that's always bad luck.
Man, you can't do that.
You can't do that. You can't do that. But we were kind of going down there. Things are going well. We think we're going to win this, and then we're still playing well in Game 3, and we were still up with like a couple minutes to go. We were still up, and then we ended up losing that game. And then things kind of just fell apart. I think we're still too young. We weren't quite ready for that stage. And that was D Wade's coming out party. I mean, he was unguardable, pick and rolls, get into the basket at will. He started to make some shots. We couldn't keep him in front of us. And so, we ended up losing, got blown out in Game 4. Switched hotels before Game 5. Avery snapped on us after Game 4. He's like, too much family here. I want out. So we moved somewhere to Fort Lauderdale and tried to stop the bleeding. And then lost a close one in Game 5 again, and then lost it here in Game 6. So, I was really frustrated, disappointed. But honestly, I was thinking, okay, I'm in my prime. I'm ready for this. We're going to be back. We have a good team. We're bringing the same team back again next year. And so I wasn't as disappointed in 06 as I actually was in 07.
Right, but looking back at that, though, do you see something that y'all could have switched after Game 2 to make that series go end differently? Looking back at it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, D Wade was incredible that series. I don't know if we could have trapped them more, trying to keep them out the lane. I'm not sure, but their role players started to play better too, and they had Antoine Walker and Gary Payton and Posey. They had some good players, and then they started to get more confidence after that first win, and they started to play better, shoot better from the outside. Haslam is a great player. I always had a lot of respect for him. He's probably one of the guys that guarded me best throughout my career. So they had a good team, and so if we finished that Game 3 off with a little more experience, I think then we have it. Yeah. But since we let them get some life and get some, they got hyped and played even harder, and then the rest was history.
Next season, MVP, 60+ wins. Nelly took this personal. Like, we weren't even supposed to be in the playoffs, but he said if we get in the playoffs, we're going to play Dallas and we're going to beat them.
And that's all I care about in life.
Yeah, and he quit. I don't know, like quit's a big word. He might have checked out after
he didn't give a damn after that.
Yeah. So that season, again, huge 65 wins, 67 wins, 68 wins.
67 or 67?
Yeah, 67 wins. You're the MVP. 1 versus 8. What is your thought going into that series versus, because we actually played you guys well that season, although we were out of the mix at the time. We played you guys well.
Yeah. So in 06, like I said, I wasn't that frustrated. Of course, I was a little disappointed, but I was like, I'm in my prime. Next year, we're coming in where we have the same team. We're going to roll. Start the season off 0-4. Win in a double overtime in Phoenix. We're about to go 0-5, and we win, and then roll the rest of the season. It was just one of those rolls where, like, we were on the road somewhere, we're down in the fourth quarter, and we just looked at each other, and Jet was like, we're gonna come back and win this. We're gonna get some big stars when we need them, and we're gonna just find some offense and give the ball to me and Jet, and we'll make it happen. So we had a crazy amount of confidence during that whole season. And then here come the Warriors, and we didn't love playing you guys. I gotta say, that was a tough matchup. That was you could laugh. I wish I could laugh.
He said we didn't love playing you guys.
I wish I could laugh. Now, you guys were a tough matchup for us. Not only did Nelly know every strength of ours since he coached us, and he knew exactly what to do.
Bro, I had tape on you. Just your moves. I'm talking about 30 minutes of just your tape, bro.
Well, there weren't a lot of moves. It was always going left. You always said you can only go left. You can only go left. But you also had, a lot of teams obviously had the blueprint, but they didn't have the personnel to pull it off.
Yeah.
You guys had a small team that always gave me problems and other problems. You guys were fronting in the post. Usually I can catch on anybody. We had a tough time getting the ball to me, pass it, first of all. Then every time I drove one way and I spun back, there came the trap.
He's going to spin.
He's going to spin. I like shooting out of my spin. Yeah. So then we didn't have a great shooting team, or we didn't have a great passing team. So both of these things, you guys just took advantage of. It was tough. I couldn't stop the bleeding. I didn't shoot well. I mean, that was probably my worst playoff series that I've played, and all the credit obviously to you guys. And that was tough. And then I took 07 almost harder than 06 because maybe I had such high expectations. We beat the Spurs like 3 out of 4 that year. Yeah. In my mind, I'm saying we're winning the championship that year. And I had made so much pressure on myself, and then maybe I was even froze up a little bit too much. I didn't play loose against you guys. I didn't have fun. And so that was one of the toughest. I felt like almost embarrassed for a couple of weeks. I didn't want to leave my house. I didn't want to go to the MVP ceremony, take the MVP. Usually back in the days, the MVP ceremony was during the second round, during the pregame. We didn't have a game anymore. I had to put a suit on and go down there, and it was just awkward. I didn't want to be there. So yes, every time I see my MVP trophy now at home, it's unfortunately in my mind. I think of you guys.
Well,
I think of all the smoke when I see my damn.
Did you throw a chair or something at the wall in Oracle?
Because I've never heard this story.
How'd that happen?
So I was just pissed off. I'm not quite sure how it happened. Somebody said it was a trash can. Or somebody said it was a chair. I don't think a trash can could actually make a hole like this. So I actually can't remember how it happened. But yeah, afterwards somebody said, you made a hole in the wall.
And they hung a We Believe jersey up next to like some assholes.
Yeah, they did that.
It was there forever.
It was
until
there
they got
forever.
the new building.
It was there forever, which was great. I mean, you guys had a fun team.
I think,
well deserved.
with all due respect, you winning MVP and as good as your team, you came back with you were different the next year though. We felt like when
we helped you. You came back a different Dirk.
Well, as it is in life, you have to learn from tough situations, from tough moments, and I felt like, you guys pushed me to be better a little bit with my back to the basket. I mentioned it earlier. I always liked to face, like to drive, and it was a little too predictable. So, I said you have to add more to your game. You have to work hard this summer and be a better leader and more complete player. So I got a lot more comfortable, posting up then, and even if it was free throw line or down the box, and I would never, even still then, I would not outmuscle you and get to the basket, but I was more comfortable there, operating in that area and shooting over smaller guys, shooting fadeaways, and then the one-legger came, and so I think you guys forced me to get back in the lab and get better and push. And I always say, without the disappointments in 06 and 07, I wouldn't have been the closer in 11. I think that's very true.
Sure.
You have to go through tough times and learn from tough mistakes and get better. And so
11 is crazy.
That was you guys pushed me to be better.
So 8 and 10, you guys are building. You bring in Jason Kidd, Trix, Sean Marion, Peja, Caron, who doesn't help you get down the stretch run because he gets hurt, but was a big piece. Rick Carlisle as well. What did all those pieces mean to you? So actually, when we made, I was like, okay, 07, we still had the best team. Going to 08, we lose to you guys, but we won 67 games. I'm like, we're straight, we're good. And then the 08 season started, and stuff is just not going that well. And it actually shows. Don't take stuff for granted, man. Sometimes things can change in a heartbeat within one season. All of a sudden we're not right there anymore. We're not with the best team all of a sudden. Teams have passed us by, and then our window from 06 and 07 all of a sudden looked closed. And so things were not going well at all in the 08 season. And then we did the trade at All-Star game for Jay Kidd. We felt like his leadership, his we, like I mentioned earlier, we're in great passing, we're in great playmaking. We had some good scorers at the guards, but not getting everybody involved, playmakers. And so we made the deal for Jay Kidd at the All-Star game, and that didn't pan out the way we wanted to at the beginning either. So there in 08 to 10, there were a lot of changes. We still had Avery when Jay Kidd first came, and then Carlisle took over, I believe, in the 08-09 season. Then we did the big trade with Washington to bring in Haywood, Steve, who was crazy, and of course Caron, and so they fit in well. And all of a sudden, the window is open again. We felt like we had a good team. We had some veterans, and and going into that 10-11 season, we felt like we had a good team. I don't think we were necessarily favorites, but we felt like we had some veterans, and we had a good start to the season. And then I got hurt right around Christmas time, and then so I was out, I was hurt, and then New Year's Day, I'll never forget, we're in Milwaukee, that's where Caron is from, and I'm sitting out in a suit because I'm not playing, and Caron goes up for a rebound and just screams and lays on the ground, and so we're all rushing over there,
And I see literally he tore his patella tendon and his kneecap had dislocated, so it sat.
his thigh.
It sat up top on his thigh. I'm trying to dry heave. It was nasty, and so our trainer's like, "Oh my God, we need wheelchair." And that was one of the toughest things I've seen. I mean, Caron is pretty tough. So he heard wheelchair. And he's from Wisconsin. His grandmother was there, his family.
Racine.
He's like, I'm not getting out of here in a wheelchair. So he's like, I watched him push his kneecap down by himself. And he gets up and starts hopping. You know how in the old Milwaukee arena, that was a track to go back to the locker room. And he walked that on his own power. I said, this guy is built different. And but then, here we go again. We're thinking our window is closing, losing. He was probably our second best scorer. I think he was our second best scorer that year. And so we're like, oh God, here it goes again, right? It's just a bunch of bad luck. And but I would say that he motivated us, inspired us, the way he wanted to come back and fought and attacked rehab. I mean, he was almost ready to play in that final series in 11. I mean, he was a beast. And every day watching him, how he handled himself, how he attacked that rehab, that really motivated us and that inspired us for that 10-11 run.
Blazers, Lakers, OKC, Miami. 28 points per game, 49% field goal, 46% three-point, 94% from the free throw line. Gee willikers. Took down Kobe, KD, and LeBron. We call that, as you know, on one. You was definitely on one. What mind frame were you in?
Well, I had a good run. We started against Portland. They gave us some problems. That LaMarcus, B-Roy still. They had a good team. They were smart. And so we didn't play that well there. We almost lost one at home, and it took us a while. To get going, and then I felt like that we lost both games in Portland, and it was 2-2 coming back here, and that's still. I remember to this day, I was like, we're not going to lose to them. We're not going to lose Game 5 on our home court, and I don't know why I said that to the team. I usually don't say much in team meetings and stuff. I'm a quiet guy. I let the coaches do their thing. But that day, I'm like, even in the pregame meeting, I was like, they're not beating us. We got this.
You know what they do to your teammate to hear Dirk say that though? You just in the back of the locker room quiet. And then it's all like, nah, they ain't beating us today.
Yeah.
That's everybody
I just felt that. I just felt that because in Game 4, we were up like 20 and B-Roy made that magical run and they beat us. And I just had that's not going to happen again. And so... And then from there, we started to roll. We won Game 5 at home, beat them in Game 6, went straight down to LA and stole a miracle Game 1 where Kobe was like hot, had like 40, I think. It seemed like he couldn't miss. And we basically stole that one at the buzzer. And from there, I don't know, we just got confidence was getting better, and we had. The roles were defined perfectly, right? You had Tricks and Kid and Tyson. They were the defenders, right? On offense, we knew Jet and I and JJ. We were going to wheel and deal and do our thing. And obviously, we had some shooters, but I felt like our roles were perfectly defined, and we had a great bench that we can change the tempo a little bit. So. I don't know. It was just a magical time. We had Pager that we signed somewhere in February. I think he got bought out in Toronto, and we took a chance on him. He didn't look like he could play with his back, and he rehabbed for 2-3 months every day, and then gave us unbelievable run there. Made some huge shots in the Lakers and OKC series, and so everything that we did that year kind of panned out, and it was fortunate, I guess.
You guys end up getting to the top of the mountain on a hell of a journey. Were there ever times, Cube talked about it at some point in your career, trying to get Paul Pierce, trying to get Kobe. Was there ever a time you possibly thought about hitting the market or possibly playing for someone else? Yeah,
I mean, so 4 years was the rookie deal, and then basically right in my last year, I believe, on my rookie deal, I signed a max deal. I signed just the same deal that Vince signed back in the days, and Paul. We signed a 6-year deal, and then I didn't really hit free agency till my 10th year in the league. So I was free agents there in 2010, and right before actually the championship year. And, you know, I didn't want to go anywhere. I loved it here. It's been 10 years, but, you know, you think about, hey, are we ever going to get back to the stage? And so I went to, since I really didn't have an agent, Holger was helping me with some of that stuff, but I didn't have an agent. So I just went over to Mark's house and we sat down on his couch and, you know, just reminisced and talked for like, you know, 2 hours on what we've done and how fun this run was. And I said, okay, let's run it back. And then both got a little emotional talking about their old days. And then I ended up signing that 4-year deal, and then we ended up winning the championship in year one. And so it's it worked out perfect. And then of course I knew I wasn't going to go anywhere after winning the championship. That would have been the only reason to go somewhere at the end to chase something or maybe chase a ring. But since we got it done here, I never had to do that.
Luka, he came in your last season, extremely talented. We talked about off camera. Jack said, "Did you see this?" You're like, "I don't know if we saw it to this extent, but he's been special." What is your relationship with him like, and how's it been just being able to see him play night in, night out?
Yeah, so once my end of career wasn't pretty, you know, we were struggling. There was some talk of tanking going on, and you know, just things didn't go well here for this franchise, and we needed a little spark plug to change things. And here I didn't think that was going to be this kid. I didn't think it was going to be this kid. When he walked in the first time here in this practice facility, you know, he looked at, he's a big boy, but I'm like, I'm not sure this is going to work. Is he quick enough? Is he athletic enough to go by guys like he is in Europe? And so there were plenty of doubts there from everybody on the team. And you know how you meet already before training camp starts. You know, you meet a month before and you hoop every day and you work out together. And so guys were trying to test him a little bit and, you know, foul him a little bit here and there in their scrimmages. And you can already see that this kid's got something about him. He's got that swag. He knows how to play. He was getting some N1 mixtape passes out of nowhere, and I'm like, he was flashing some of the talent. So we were thinking, man, he's going to be a really good player, but I didn't think he was going to go to that level.
Right?
I mean, I think it was last season or the season before, he averaged triple-double for an entire month. I mean, I didn't see that coming. So in my first year, unfortunately, my last year, his first year, I was hurt a lot. I missed the first 30, 40 games. So I didn't really get to spend, you know, I didn't even go on road trips the first couple months. So that was a little tough. I didn't really get to spend as much time around him as I wanted to. But I mean, that was his time to shine. You know, we looked to him, and he took the ball and took it from there. And yeah, just really proud of how he developed. And my role with him, I guess we're friends, we're cool, you know, when I'm in town, we go to dinners or whatever. A mentor would be a little strong because he doesn't really need me. I mean, he's as you guys see, he plays like a 32-year-old veteran. How he reads the game, how he carries himself on the court. And I mean, I didn't really, I wish I would love to say I helped him and talked to him about it, but it's just, the guy just came, he's been a pro since he's like 11 years old, and that's how he plays the game. Like nothing can rattle him during the game, and he just does his thing. And so his development has been incredible, and I didn't think he could get better from year to year, but he's still showing it, and I'm super happy for him.
Tough. How you do anything is how you do everything.
That's Cube saying.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, Mark obviously has been a big influence on my career and my life as well. He bought the team in my second year, and we've developed a great friendship and relationship. And he was always my number one supporter when stuff wasn't going right. Even off the floor, he was there helping me out with stuff. And so he was a big influence for me, and he was always loyal to me. So yeah, we've had a great friendship. I mean, I say this all the time. How many owners go to their best players' bachelor party in Vegas? But he was there.
He's probably the life of the party too.
Yeah,
Mark
for
knows
sure.
how to party a little bit.
Yeah. So we had a special bond and relationship, and so Yeah, and that's at the beginning. He was literally so fired up when he bought the team. He was at every practice, at every road game. He was sitting in the players section on the plane, and so he was constantly around. And his energy and his savviness, the way he carries himself, kind of also obviously carried over to the team. So he was a big influence on me and on the Mavericks, of course.
He said something that kind of surprised me when he first got the team, because it was new to him. So he said guys like you and Steve and Mike kind of helped him learn the ropes and what it's like in the locker room and how players like things. And it was refreshing for me to hear, because you think someone who's got a bunch of money and this is my team or my way. He was more really almost like a player's owner, so to speak, as far as kind of getting to really know what you guys like and dislike.
He changed everything. When I first got here, we were doing the bare minimum. We were staying in, Marriott's and all that.
Shit.
We had the flights that everybody had, those old planes, and then he was like, okay, we need to change some stuff around. I want free agents to come here and look at Dallas as the spot to be. And so he just started turning everything around. I mean, money at that point at the beginning didn't matter at all. Mm-hmm. He bought a new plane. He built a new arena. We started to stay at these nice hotels. We started to have good catering after. We didn't even have any food my first couple of years.
You got good catering for the visiting team.
Yeah, we started that. He wanted to show basically the visiting teams, hey, we take care of you guys here.
Imagine what it's like on the other side.
He was poking at the other owners.
He's just planting a little seed, hey guys, we'll take care of you guys here. So and so he, just like I said, resources were not the problem. He put everything in, and he took care of his players, and he made that trade with Washington when we got Juwan, where we took a bunch of money back, and it cost us a ton of money, or him obviously, but he showed I'm willing to pay whatever. I wanted to win, and so that was a fun atmosphere, I think, for us players to be around. And I always say I had a fun time playing my 21 years, but those first couple of years when you're part of something, you're turning it around. We were garbage for a whole decade in the 90s. And then slowly, surely, Steve, Mike, and I, we get better. We turn things around. You see that, stuff is happening. People get excited in the city. Those were some of the best years I had in the NBA.
Really dope.
I was almost your teammate in 2014.
Oh, no.
Almost.
But we heard you veto the trade. Yeah. Thanks.
I must have vetoed that deal.
Before, obviously, thank you for your time. Before we get to these quick hitters, obviously when you're in the mix and you're almost on the hamster wheel during your career, you never get to kind of sit back and appreciate, what you've accomplished. You've been removed for a handful of years now. Like, when you look back on your career, like what do you think about? What comes to your mind?
Oh, it's been a heck of a ride. I was very fortunate, obviously, to be here and stay in one spot and stay sort of injury free throughout my whole ride. So it's been I was blessed, and it was an incredible ride. And to me, topped it off this summer with the Hall of Fame. I think now, to me, that was sort of the closure. My first half of my life is over with this, and couldn't have gone any better, honestly. So I'm extremely happy and, of course, proud, and my family is super proud out of Germany that I was able to play in the NBA for 21 years. It's been a hell of a ride, and we'll see what the next chapter looks like now.
Really dope.
How does it feel to be the best European player ever?
Well, now it's going to be tough, to keep that.
As of now, you are.
Yeah, keep that up now with the generation that we have coming now. I mean, but before me, there were some fun European players. Like Schrempf was one of my idols, obviously, from Germany. Yeah. Dražen Petrovic was a stud. Yeah. Kukoc. I mean, there were great players. And then, if I came in and Tony Parker, Gasol, if we came in and sort of helped these other guys now a little bit, or inspired them in a way, or motivated them in a way, that's obviously thrilling and humbling to hear. So if we were part of somebody else's journey, and that's been amazing. And now we have Giannis and Jokic and
bro, pat yourself on the back, bro. You killed in the NBA for a long time, dog.
21 years was a long time. But like I said, it's been so many, opened the door for me. And if I push the door open even a little wider, then that's humbling.
You did your part, yeah.
All right, well, quick hitters. First thing to come to mind, let us know and we'll get you out of here. Biggest risk you've ever taken?
No question, coming to the NBA.
Wow.
Coming
Bet
out
on
of-
yourself though.
Coming out of the second division in Germany, I mean that was a wild move, but it ended up working
Worked
well.
out pretty well for you.
You have any? What's your guilty pleasure?
I'm a big food guy, ice cream. I mean,
Are you a snacker?
yeah, I snacker. So it's not good. Not good.
Worst piece of advice you've ever heard?
Worst piece of advice. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Nothing comes to mind?
No, nothing comes
Best
to mind.
piece.
Yeah, just see yourself as a work in progress, really. Always keep improving, never be satisfied. Always see yourself as a learning guy. Even now in life, try something new, try to learn different things. Never see yourself as a finished product.
Dallas Mavericks all-time starting five.
With me or without me?
With you,
you.
of course. How you gonna do that
Okay.
without you?
I mean, I played with some studs, so I'm gonna have to go probably a small lineup. Snashy is obviously one of my best buddies. He's the one. J Kidd, Hall of Famer. He played a two. He can guard the twos. They can both handle the ball. My guy Finlay would play the three. I mean, he helped me so much growing up, and he was basically the man when I got here. And then, I mean, there's a lot of guys. If I play the four, then there's a lot of guys for the fifth spot. You know, like a Jet or, there's Nick Van Exel was amazing for us those couple of years he was here. That's a tough one, but it's a really small lineup. But those are probably my 4, 5,
You'd have to
6.
play center on that team.
Yeah,
Let me ask you one more quick. How good was Josh Howard?
love Josh.
That's my dog.
Love Josh.
Yeah, Gabe.
He
was an all-star too.
You know, he played with a chip on his shoulder because he was pissed off that he was drafted so late. You know, he thought he had a great couple of years there at Wake Forest, and then he dropped to almost, end of the first round. And he was like, "What? I'm going to show everybody." And then that's how he approached every game. He was going at people's necks, and we loved that. He was our defender. He was long. He was versatile. And I love Josh. He's still around here. I never thought he'd get into coaching because he was at times, I'd say, a little tough to coach.
Right. He's coaching here?
He's coaching some college around here in
that's
Dallas.
dope.
So I run into him every now and then.
That's dope.
And apparently he's great, and they love him. But I didn't see Stack becoming a coach either. I got to say.
Yeah.
Oh, Stack.
He's
Some
doing
of these
great.
guys-
He's doing great.
Some of these guys were a little tough on their own coaches back then, but
became one.
now they're head coaches.
Childhood crush.
Oh shoot, childhood crush. In the '90s. I mean, was it Lil Kim, Foxy Brown?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Exactly right.
Let me see what else.
Untouched Lil Kim. She was unbelievable.
Soft.
Picture this. I'm having one of those moments, y'all. Something you wish you were better at.
In life or
Something, anything.
maybe a better communicator in life. I think I take a lot of stuff in myself. I don't love sharing my feelings too much, and I know over my life that's driven my career, my family nuts a little bit. So I wish I was communicate my feelings a little better. I think that's one that's I need to work on.
That's men, period. That's men, period. 5 dinner guests, dead or alive.
I'd say Michael Jordan, obviously. I mean, he's my hero. He's my GOAT always. I'd say Muhammad Ali. And then there's so many greats out there.
Just let me cut you off. You was at Cubans. When we asked him about his 5, he had you at his table.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's sweet. I would not have him on my table. I'm going to go. I was a big tennis guy, so I'm going to go with Roger Federer.
Yeah, legend.
Unbelievable. Big tennis fan. Growing up, I was a big Boris Becker fan, so that's 4. So that's mainly sports. And the 5th, I'd do maybe Tiger Woods.
Nice. That's a nice table. If you could see one guest on our show, who would it be? But you have to help us get your answer on the show.
Can't be shy.
Okay. Who hasn't been on the show?
Excuse me.
What'd you say?
Excuse me.
Okay. You guys trying to get Luka?
Oh yeah, hell yeah! When you said Luka, I didn't know what you was gonna say.
Well, we'll see. He is still in the phase, where he's a little shy.
Yeah.
You've been there.
I came here, and sometimes if it's just English as second language, you're almost you're scared to say something wrong.
Yeah.
And then I think he's already gotten a little looser in interviews from his first year or first 2 years. So I think eventually he'll get there where he'll have some fun with you guys, but he's just not quite there yet.
This is the show to let loose on, though.
Yeah, this is a show to fuck up on.
We understand you more than anybody.
Well, Dirk, man, we want to thank you for your time. Obviously, we know you're busy, but also just give you your flowers, man. Obviously, everything you did for this franchise, but the league, and obviously the international influx now of talent. And like you said, if you kicked the door open a little bit, well, we know you kicked it open a lot. But man, it was a pleasure to battle against you and watch you play. And congratulations on just the career and the family and everything, man.
Well deserved.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me on. That's fun.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, bro.
Well, that's a wrap. The one and only Dirk Nowitzki. You can catch us on Showtime Basketball YouTube and the iHeart platform Black Effects.